First, though, U.S. President Donald Trump says the Democrats are out to get him ahead of the 2020 election. He was responding after a formal impeachment inquiry was announced by the top Democrat Nancy Pelosi. This followed reports that Mr. Trump pressured Ukraine's leader to help smear his Democratic rival, Joe Biden. And as leverage, the president withheld $400 million in aid. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has denied the allegations. He says nobody can pressure him except his 6-year-old son. Mr. Trump has dismissed the inquiry as a witch hunt.
Look, it's just a continuation of the witch hunt. It's the worst witch hunt in political history. Our country's doing the best it's ever done. They're going to lose the election, and they figure this is a thing to do.
There have been multiple calls to impeach President Trump since he came to power in 2016. But momentum only picked up when a whistleblower complaint in August brought the Ukraine scandal into the spotlight. Support for the impeachment surged this week when Mr. Trump admitted to speaking to Mr. Zelensky about Mr. Biden. But he denied pressuring the leader by withholding aid and says he will release the transcript of the call.
But they say it was a very partisan person, the whistleblower. But it was second or third hand. Never heard the call. But I have better than that. We have the whole transcript of the call, which will be released tomorrow, and comments will be put with respect. It was a perfect call. There was no quid pro quo, unlike Biden. There was no nothing. It was a perfect call, a very nice call. And in fact, I thought this was very nice. Ukraine just came out and made a very good statement. It was a very good call. There was no pressure put on them whatsoever.
And for more details, our correspondent Simon Marks joins us live from Washington. Simon, impeachment, well, it would be a very long, a very complex process. What are the chances that the Democrats can force the president out of office here?
John, it depends entirely on what the Democrats dig up. 6 investigating committees up on Capitol Hill now, charged by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, with finding out whatever they can find out about the nature of these conversations, and note plural conversations, between the President of the United States, his representatives, and Ukrainian officials. You heard President Trump talk there about a single call, and the White House says it will be releasing the transcript of a single call later today here in the United States. But the whistleblower's complaint that has been suppressed by the White House, they are legally required to hand the whistleblower's complaint over to Congress, but they haven't yet done that. They now say they hope to do so before the end of the week, is reported to allege multiple conversations in which the President of the United States and possibly other administration officials put American national security at risk. So this isn't about a single call. The Democrats know that. They're going to investigate this, and they're going to investigate it in public. That means calling people like the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to testify before them up on Capitol Hill, other senior officials within the president's orbit. This is a high-stakes game for President Donald Trump that is going to tie him up in investigative knots as he heads towards what he hopes is his date with re-election in November 2020. He is absolutely in fighting mood. Within the last half an hour, he has said on Twitter, there has been no president in the history of our country who has been treated so badly. The Democrats are frozen with hatred and fear. This should never be allowed to happen to another president. But whether it is or not the witch hunt that the president insists, it is happening to him, and it is going to tie him up in investigative knots for months to come.
Yeah, Simon, you mentioned that it's all going to be played out in the public as well. Do you think then that these impeachment proceedings will turn public opinion against Mr. Trump, or could this potentially also backfire on the Democrats?
Steve, the Democrats are taking a massive gamble here, because while they've got a majority in the House of Representatives to impeach Donald Trump tomorrow, frankly, if they wanted to, they do not have a majority in the Senate. And the way impeachment works is that it begins in the House of Representatives, If they decide there's a case, they bring it to a vote. Let's say Donald Trump is impeached in the House of Representatives, then he has to go on trial in the Senate. And the difficulty that Nancy Pelosi has got, and one of the reasons why she's been reluctant to advance all of this up until now, is that she knows that currently Republicans are in lockstep with the president and unlikely to convict him at trial in the Senate. The other gamble the Democrats are taking is that Donald Trump, as he's already trying to do on social media, is going to use this to his advantage, attacking them, raising continuing questions about the activities of former Vice President Joe Biden and his son in Ukraine, and trying to stoke the support of his grassroots base voters in those key parts of the country that delivered him the White House last time around. So the Democrats are taking a pretty substantial gamble here as well.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Thanks for keeping an eye on it for us, Simon Marks, speaking to us from Washington, D.C. And we will have more on this story a little later on Asia Tonight.